It's close, but
It
it's
is
actually. Friends up there that's the biggest.
Okay, it is 5 o'clock.
Can you guys turn your mute off?
Oh,
There you go.
I'm sorry. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
But he's been with his most recent employer for 4 years on a full-time basis, and the roads crew is familiar with him and feel pretty confident in his hiring.
I don't have a job posting in front of me. What was it?
$30 an hour.
And then. I'll make a motion to hire Matthew Harriet as the job posting indicated and with discussion.
Second.
Moved and seconded, discussion?
So are we gonna send him to CDL school?
Yes.
And is he gonna get all four A, B, C, and D? You know?
I think he has
He has.
at least one of them. I think he has D. I think he may have.
In that D yeah, this is a question.
D is your regular motor vehicle. Class D is your regular motor vehicle, so every one of you sitting at that table has a Class D. Class
Yeah,
B is to
that's-
drive the dump truck, and Class A is to drive a dump truck with a trailer with something on the back.
That's what I'm getting at is we hired somebody else once and they didn't have the ability to pull a trailer.
Yeah.
So.
It'll be the full,
Okay.
it'll be the full CDL.
I just have a question. This is maybe contact your present employer and I said no. Well, maybe they don't know he's looking elsewhere.
That's,
Okay, I was just curious if
That's usually.
there was an answer for
That's
that.
usually why I would say no.
Okay,
That's
okay.
usually.
Just wanted to clarify. Okay, that's fair.
So were we thinking that he would actually start at the 30 or get to 30 once he has his
Once
CDL?
as the CDL would be at 30,
so he would start at,
Probably 28.
whatever you
Yeah,
guys
I
decide.
think we've usually done a $2 for the CDL.
how when we post, I don't have that job.
We posted it at 30.
Right, but since he doesn't meet the
Have that,
qualification of
yeah.
CDL, I think it should be lower until
Yeah.
he does.
Yeah, please.
I'll make a motion to hire Matthew Harriet at $28 an hour to go to $30 an hour once he gets his CDL.
A second.
And we'll pay for this training for the CDL.
Yeah, that's the next item on the agenda.
Yeah.
Okay, any further discussion?
Is there a timeline for how long it will take for this CDL? Like, or,
I think it's like he's gonna go on an accelerated course,
Okay.
like a 3-day,
oh,
a week long.
Oh,
It's a quick.
super, okay.
Okay, any other discussion?
Do we need to mention a start date?
Very good question. Why don't we go with November? Well, let's see, I think. Why don't we just start as soon as possible?
Yeah,
How about that?
She might have to give it.
Yeah,
Right.
it'd be nice if Pete or somebody was here to ask.
Yeah.
If they needed it.
Well, they do.
I'm sure they do. Yeah.
Yeah, I would just say as soon as possible. It's emphasizes that.
Okay, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
I don't.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries. Next item is to approve the CDL training for Matthew Harriet. And I had received an email, I think, we may all have received an email, which had the details on this. Does anybody, did you get anything else? No,
I think it was sent to you and Georgine.
Jean,
But it's 25.
the cost. Okay, so the cost of the CDL training is 2,500, plus I think there'd be some travel expenses involved as well.
Yeah.
I think that came to about $1,000 altogether for the travel. I think I think it may be to Duluth. So can we have a motion to approve the $2,500 plus $1,000 of travel expenses for the CDL training?
I'll make a motion to approve the 2,500 plus $1,000 of travel expenses for Matthew Gary to get his ticket.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, moving on, budget workshop, and we have with us the police and the ambulance. Police is listed first. So, Bill, do you have anything you want to point out to us in particular in your budget or your capital request?
Yeah, just a couple things. And Lauren actually sent me an email yesterday asking me to explain what my comments were. But if you look under police legal, it says our actual expenses were $140 this year. With pending cases and all that, it's going to be that full $4,000, if not more. I'm not sure how some of our legal costs have been entered, so I just want to point that out that every time somebody pleads not guilty on a ticket, it's $200 bill from the attorney's office. We've had about 8 people plead not guilty on citations this year, so this actual doesn't add up. So I just want to let you know that I'm not going to be turning money back to you guys from that account. I just want to make sure. Let me go down here. Police hiring expense. Yes, I have been looking into my retirement. I am still planning on 2026, depending on my health and issues coming up. It could be sooner. I put down in my 25 budget proposed 0 because we don't have any planned hiring expenses unless you replace me. And if you're going to looking at replacing me, you might want to put the background checks in there. It's going to be a few $1,000s. I mean, to have it done right. So I guess there I'm just kind of leaving it up to you guys. How will you feel what you want to do? My plans are to leave March 26, 2026, but we'll see how my health goes. And I'll leave it at that. So they said I just put 0 unless something happens. There wasn't much in the supplies this year. I did put up their radar certification went up quite a bit. It used to cost us $80 to get our radar certifications. Now it was like $180. So we had to put some of that up. Our annual Cody expense did go up this year, higher than what we budgeted last year. I don't know if they're planning on raising it again, so I just put it at a $1,500. But last year we paid, we budgeted, we budgeted $1,400. They billed us $1,467. As far as capital outlay, because of the airport, we have been forced to move our police firing range to the north end. We don't have anywhere to store any of our stuff up there that would be safe because up there it's not going to be watched. So we were thinking on if it's possible to get a small storage container, metal storage container, padlock it up. We think that might be the best fit. I understand that's that's a request. As far as that on the first sheet, that's all I got. And everything else is pretty much the same as what we've been doing. If you guys got questions for me, oh, one more thing. I did put this down. Me and Sarah talked about this. We didn't get a chance to talk to Rick. I have not seen him in like 2 months. But there's been an issue over the last few years since the ESB building has been built. This is for all three departments to split, I guess, for a capital improvement plan, but it is twice now that the hard drives have gone out and the computer system and the video camera system, the surveillance system up at the fire hall. It's twice we've had to replace it. I put in for a capital improvement plan, I put police, fire, and EMS as all three. We don't know really what the cost was. We just guesstimated at 3,000. But basically what we're looking at doing is adding some sort of ventilation to that storage room so that the hot air can escape and cooler air can come in. And in the long run, we won't be replacing computer parts as fast as we used to. I mean, like we have been. We've replaced it twice now, once this year and once, but I think 2 years after the building was up and running. So that's all I got. If you guys have questions on what I put down, I'm open.
Thank you, Bill. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, Amy, do you want to go first?
Well, how big is this storage container? The firing range storage container, how large is it?
Well, we're just looking at one of them, the storage containers they bought for the fire department that's sitting behind the fire hall now. They're those metal storage containers. They make smaller ones. They're, boy, I tell you, 20 feet, maybe. I didn't really measure them out. I didn't know as they come in smaller and they come in these bigger ones, and I figured a smaller one would do us just fine.
But it won't fit in the back of somebody's pickup truck and drive away.
The storage container?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, that's why I was asking Scott.
No. Matter of fact, we'd have to have it delivered in place because we'd have to use heavy, it would take a backhoe would have to place it.
Okay. And then
It's like those steel storage containers you can get from the shipping containers, those big ships with the big steel,
Okay.
those
Okay.
things. We just wanted something to put a lot of our supplies in so that while we weren't there, they weren't getting shot up.
Right.
And then we'd have to keep replacing.
Right. And my second question was, for the parking violations in 2023, were they so high because we didn't have the long-term parking at the city lots, or why was it so much higher than they are now or we're budgeting for?
Some of the things I know, the town park, we used to write a lot of parking tickets out there. They've changed some of the signage to make it better.
Mhm.
People parking where they're not supposed to out there. You could probably take $300 just off of that alone. The lot W, cleaning up lot W really, we had the tow truck come out and he towed a couple cars out to the thing. People started getting, whoa, wait a second, and they stopped parking there as much. We're not writing as many parking tickets in there. I knew the second we called the tow truck, that would be a good deterrent. It obviously has been.
Right. Mike?
We also didn't have the wind sled either, and people parking down at the Ace approach. That was probably the bigger one that we write a lot for.
Oh, okay.
Thanks.
On this new workhorse program, they don't have the estimated from now to the end of the year. They don't have that anymore. So do you anticipate any big projects or any big line item expenses that's gonna happen between now and December 31st?
The only thing I have, unless something majorly happens, the only thing I have on there is buying some winter uniforms and clothing. And I did save a little bit of my training budget for this project because we had to we got to move, so we got to build new targets, we got to build new everything. If you didn't really know, Mike, I got injured a couple weeks ago, and I was planning on purchasing a lot of that lumber and hauling it out there, and it never happened because I couldn't lift it. And so we're gonna be making that purchase too, but that's only like all $500 of materials there.
And then right under what Amy was talking about for revenues, right under the parking violations is the clerk of court for the fines and penalties, and it last year was almost $4,000. And you have just barely over, or so far this year, just barely over $1,000. And you only have $1,000 you know, for 24 budget. So what's the big discrepancy there?
We couldn't tell you. We've actually had a couple more bigger citations written this year. So those are not, you know, those cases have not concluded. But
That's a
once
lot of
again,
money.
you know, we've been doing very good. We've been doing a lot of things with that speed board. We were moving around. We've been trying to do a lot of stuff just to deter some of the stuff, and you know, if you can't make them speed, you know, and if they're not speeding, we're not writing. And you know, I think the deterrence that we've had is working, so that might be a little bit of what's coming into play.
And then under revenue funds, again, the very first one is law enforcement training, and you had $7,000 last year, and you have zero so far in 24. Is that because you don't do those programs anymore?
I think what happened was we got a grant last year. We received money from the state for a grant last year, and I think that's where Barb put it. We received money from the DOJ that applied for a grant, and I think that's where Barb put it. But the training reimbursement is going up, but this, I don't know when it's going to go up. I think next year. So I just put the same down because I don't know what it's going to.
Yeah, you put the 640 for the guys that you get from the state, but you don't do any more like click and ticket programs. You don't do that anymore?
We can't. There are none more. They don't do it anymore.
You quit those? Okay.
They quit those, and it's a kind of a bummer because that was one of our biggest fundraisers for
Yeah,
equipment.
that was always worth $4,000.
$4,000. We were very lucky for a number of years. We even hit it twice one year.
Yep.
And it just they right at or just before COVID they stopped it.
That's fine. Anyone else?
This
Oops, Sam. I have a couple things. One, I think is a typo, Bill. I don't know if you've got the sheet in front of you, but the third line down, police retirement. I think it probably is 37,000, something.
I hope so.
And not 373,000.
that's more than likely a typo.
I was in the wrong spot.
Yeah, and I think this
even
might
see
be a
that.
good time. Bill brought up to me, and Georgine also brought up to me, on the employee health insurance. All the plans are now right about for family coverage, total premium about $40,000 a year. And the town, that's for family coverage. The town has a percentage of what they pay for the lowest cost single plan, and then they have a separate percentage that they pay for the lowest cost family plan. And this is state law. This was Act 10 and all of that stuff. There had been municipalities that used to pay 100% of the employer of the cost. There was no employee share. But Act 10, I believe it was, said for these plans, the employer can't pay more than 88% of the premium of the lowest cost plan that's available. And so it's, and that is fixed. And for family coverage, the town didn't go to the full 88%. They're at 80%, has been sort of the policy. The plan that most everyone is in has been cheaper than the other options for the last few years. But it caught up this year. And so the premium for the plan that most of our employees are in, the premium went up 26%. And what this means when you have a cap on how much the town is paying for its share, we have a situation for any of our employees who have family coverage, their share, just their share of the premium is going to go up by $500 a month. Okay. And so I just want to, Bill brought that up to me. I looked into it, talked to Georgine. We do have some limited options. I mean, we could potentially increase the percentage that we reimburse of the family coverage, go up from the 80% to the legal limit of the 88%, which would cut that $500 down by about $200. So then it'd be a $300, and then, people are going to get a probably 2.5% COLA, and that, that's what the COLA partly is for. And so if you take that out, you might end up, no, I don't like to see the fact that someone's net pay is going down from the prior year, but $100 a month decrease is a lot better than $500 a month decrease. So I just want to put that out there to the board. I'm bringing it up now because we do have law enforcement that have this coverage, and I thought it would be best to give everyone more time to think about this than less time.
The only thing I'd say about that is you had to be really careful, because you're talking about the WRS.
Yeah.
And when you deal with that, you almost have to be a specialist to know the combinations that WRS does as far as family plans go.
Yeah.
So you got to be really, really careful in how, they pick the health provider and what you're going to pay and things like that. Everybody's got to be on the same page about it. It's not easy. Health insurance is a lot of money,
Oh, indeed.
as you will find out.
Anyhow, so I just wanted to put that out there. Any other questions for Bill? Any other discussion about the police budget at this point? Thank you, Bill. Obviously, this is our first crack at it, and we will, after we've gone through everyone's budget, get back in touch. But thank you.
Thank you. I'm gonna go now. We'll talk to you later.
Bye-bye. Okay, next is ambulance. Sarah. Welcome.
Hi, guys.
Welcome.
I'm also representing the clinic tonight too, FYI.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
let's go with the ambulance first.
Okay.
And obviously there's a change in the leadership of the department. And so I think you have put in here that we're going to combine the wages of the director and the assistant director. And then are there any other large changes that you've made or proposed?
Yeah, I have just a couple things to read.
Okay, go ahead.
So like you mentioned, yes, there's been large changes to the ambulance service over the last year. The most significant being that our director, if not officially, has unofficially retired. And with the support of the board, I do intend to take over this position and continue my work managing and maintaining the service. One of the most important matters to attend to is growing the service significantly. Our greatest hurdle often comes in the form of lack of members. There's simply too few of us to cover all of the busy season that is on the island. So, and we will also lose a couple members this year. So to combat that, I've worked with Northwood Tech in providing an EMR class to take place on the island and online. There's 10 students that are currently in this class, and those that will pass will receive their licenses by the end of this year. There are also several students in the process of getting their EMT licenses, and those are in varying avenues. So with the increase in numbers will come an increase in wages, which is reflected in the 2025 budget. I also think that it's important to note that I've asked for a slight increase in pay across the board for the EMTs. The EMTs are critical to the service. They require the most training, the most hours to renew their licenses, and they carry the most responsibility when caring for a patient. It's important that they receive a higher rate of pay to reflect this for now and in future recruiting. Other than that, there's not any significant changes to the budget to note.
And Sarah, it looks like the differential between EMR and EMT is $5 a shift. Or,
It's slight, yes, it's very slight. I just thought in beginning the differential between it starting off small.
does anyone have any questions for
I do.
Sarah? Go ahead, Mike.
Under revenue, Sarah, on the very first line, why, did your calls go up? That, it's a lot more. You have, your proposal is for over 47,000 and the actual for 23 was under 13,000. So,
Okay, so the actual, so far in September, what we were at almost 35,000. And from what I understand, it's because the town hired a new company for collections. So the new company is doing a better job at collecting on the ambulance services behalf.
okay, so the collection agency is a better
Yes,
fit for the island.
Much better. Yeah.
yes, and
It's huge.
I left it the same as what 2024 was projected to be. It could be even better, and I think that would depend on how well both Lauren and I continue to work with this company and how much we can learn in that process.
So like, not to be accurate or, just, you used to get like 45 calls a year? Is that right?
I don't think it's been that low for quite some time. I would estimate we get between 75 and 90 calls a year.
Yeah.
So is this billing company is this number gonna go significantly down while after they have collected all the past?
Hmm.
Or
I don't know.
overdue payments?
I don't know, actually, Amy.
Amy, I don't know for sure, but I don't think that much of this is old.
Old.
Oh, okay,
I think most of this are current charges,
okay.
but I think that the firm is, I think we can probably expect to see
Okay,
pretty robust numbers.
Yeah, they're some good agencies.
Yeah, they're doing a lot better than.
Yeah, and thank you, Sarah, for working with Lauren on that. That's really helpful. Okay, go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, Sarah, when Cindy was the ambulance director and you were her assistant, are you gonna have an assistant?
My current plan is to not have an assistant. I combined the job descriptions, and that is the work that I've been doing the last few months. I feel confident that I can do it myself and be more organized if I'm doing it myself. But I have told the service members that if it doesn't work, then we can make a change. And if that means splitting up the job duties or having an assistant or some other forms of other leadership within the service, we can do that.
I noticed there was one question that you had raised, Sarah, in your, and I can answer. It said, will the ambulance be paying ferry costs now that the town owns it? And I believe that the answer is yes. I mean, it's a bookkeeping issue, but I think it's important for the town and the Harbor Commission to be able to track where they're being used, what departments are using them. And so overall, yeah, it's nice that it is not money that's actually leaving the town, but just for just in some ways, like the MRF charges the town park for trash disposal. So that cost just gets properly allocated to the proper departments. So anyhow, good question. I think that's probably the way that it's going to be handled going forward.
I have the funds requested in the budget for now. So that's good to know.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions for Sarah? At least on the ambulance part? No? Okay, and you have on your capital, request is to, set aside funds for a new ambulance.
Yes. I think that slowly setting aside funds for a new ambulance will get us there, as well as perhaps if there's another fundraiser in 2025, and just simply allocating most of our donations towards a new ambulance, I think we can meet a significant goal rather quickly with some effort.
Thank you. We'll just move over to, rather than do the fire department, let's just move over to the clinic so that we can have Sarah leave when she wants. And this is really just the amount that we've given in the past, $24,000. So does anyone have any questions for Sarah on the clinic?
I got
Go ahead, Mike.
Sarah, do you know, like, what percentage of the clinic's revenues, what percentage is through this patient services versus donations versus the town chipping in $24,000? Do you know that?
I don't know. It's
There's
something
no-
that I could look into though.
Yeah, I think I asked Molly last year. It's just, I'm always curious what percentages.
Yeah, no,
You
that
know.
would be really good to know. And
I
how
have a
much,
few, I have a few highlights to share if you'd like to hear
Go.
those.
please? Please.
The La Pointe Community Clinic has made significant progress over the last year in increasing its accessibility of quality healthcare to Madeline Island community, including both residents and visitors. The most exciting and noteworthy addition came in the hiring of nurse practitioner Dina Hand Olaf. She has already proven to be a tremendous asset to the clinic team. Clinic has also moved to being open 3 days per week for the busier times of the year. There's actually still open 3 days per week. Along with better advertising and awareness, the clinic has seen a significantly higher volume of patients this year than last. The clinic remains an invaluable asset to the Madeline Island ambulance service. Clinic staff answers questions and/or respond to help with emergencies both during clinic hours and after hours. The clinic staff will soon be providing flu vaccines to La Pointe school children and the continuing of a successful vaccination program. And on the behalf of the clinic staff and board, we thank the town for their continued financial support.
Sarah? Does anyone have any questions? I think we're all very happy with the work the clinic's doing. Thank you.
Great.
And unless you want to hang around while we're finishing up, you're free to go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Or Fairbanks?
So next is the fire department. Now, we did receive their capital requests, but they're not here to answer any questions that we may have about it. And so I don't know, unless the board is really interested in going through this right now, I think we're gonna probably end up having to go through it with the fire department.
Yeah.
I agree.
So,
I'd look at, Red filled all these out, it's his handwriting,
Yeah.
and I mean, I know Red. And he does his homework, I mean, to get the best price, so I don't anything that he did on. I would like to see a worksheet though,
Right?
just to see, just to see his work.
Yeah,
yeah, no, I mean,
It's like the complete lack of communication we've received over the last several months.
yeah, I'm looking forward to talking with them about that when we do see them.
And whoever, you might see him before me or vice versa, whatever. But whoever fills that worksheet out, that's who should represent it. And I don't want somebody filling out, then somebody else coming in, not being able to answer any questions. Because that's stupid.
Right.
I did have a question though, so a lot of these projects are shared between EMS, and I should have asked Sarah this. Are shared between EMS and fire, and I was curious if that capital. She's still here. Okay, cool. That capital percentage was included in
their
everyone
budget.
else's budget
That's
as well.
a great question. Are
What-
you,
Which ones are
Um,
you,
Like
referring to?
gutters,
Yeah, so here for the ESP gutter replacement, it says this is 50% to be covered by the fire department. EMS will cover 25%, police 25%, and they give a number.
He
For the
didn't
total
discuss-
project.
You didn't discuss any capital, outlay plans with me at all. Bill asked about the venting, coming
Okay.
from, to help with those circuit boards, and I agreed to that. No one from the fire department asked about any of this.
There's also,
There's all lighting.
there's additional one too,
Yeah.
it's the ESP lighting upgrade.
That's the way the building's set up.
Yeah,
None
Okay.
of them,
Okay.
none of them were proposed to me.
okay.
thank you, Sarah.
What red?
So
you're talking
I
about.
would assume if it was gonna come out of my budget, I'd have to see it first, right?
Yeah,
Yep,
What Red's talking about is putting a gutter on the side that we put the parking on, the east side of the building. And if 50% is taken out, Lauren is the count now or whatever. 50% is billed to the fire, ambulance 25, and police
Mhm.
25.
yeah,
So
I-
that's where that comes from. She
Right.
probably wouldn't know it.
but if it's not in their
but
budget,
I'm asking if it's in their budget, because it's not mentioned in their capital section.
Mhm.
And it would make sense if there's no communication.
Yeah.
right. Okay, well, thank you, Sarah, for clarifying that. Thank you, Sam. for-
I have a question for you, Mike. You said you know his handwriting, what is this word?
Yeah, I was saying.
PWC.
Oh,
PWC.
personal watercraft, I think.
Okay, and the next word?
Trailer.
Okay, that makes a lot
Just
more sense than
update.
trader.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Okay, any other questions? We will try to get the fire department scheduled sometime next week, as part of our other workshop.
Wednesday.
Yeah, yeah. And we would like Red also in attendance. Okay. Is there any other discussion? If not, is there a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Second, moved and seconded, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carried, meeting's adjourned. Thank you all very much.